Awesome. I see we have a few more people joining here. Thank you guys for joining us. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I know we'll probably have a few more people trickle in as we get past top of the hour. But once again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We are super excited to have everyone here for our annual Black Friday and Cyber Monday webinar. It's always one of the best ones that we host over here. It's pertinent for almost all of our clients. So we are really excited to have all these great panelists here. Before we get started, we're just going to do a quick round of intro so everyone can kind of just hear the background of everyone on the panel. I'll kick us off. So again, my name is Alissa Persichetti, for those of you who do not know me. I am fairly new to the FEVO team. I have now been at FEVO for about 7 months, but I came from the team side, so I'm certainly not new to the FEVO platform. I spent the last 6 years of my career out in Oakland, California, working for the Oakland A's. I know we have a lot of A's employees here. I've been getting a lot of texts already, so quick go A's to all of you guys. But during my time at the A's, I started there as an account executive, selling full menu, banging out 100 calls a day. Then after a few years, I moved into the sales leadership team, so helped lead that team there. And then for the past year of my career, I actually was on our marketing team, overseeing all of our paid advertising and email marketing. So some great experience, got to see the organization from a full scope and also use the FEVO technology on both the sales and marketing end. But yeah, so I'm going to kick it over to Katie first to give some of your background.
Thank you so much, Alissa. I am Katie Vannelli. I work for the Minnesota Wild. I have been with the team for 14 years. I actually just celebrated my 14th year. I originally started as a graphic designer. I was a graphic designer for 5 years. I then moved into email marketing, where I taught myself how to code and how to do that whole automation jibble jabble. I like to make up words. I moonlight as an improviser. I love to make people laugh. So that's a little something personal about me. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So life is pretty crazy. I am currently now the B2C Marketing Manager, which just means that I am in charge of all of the paid media. So I do a lot of the media planning and buys. I work very closely with our social team. I do not run our social team, but I also work with our B2B Senior Manager, who is in charge of corporate premium sales and retail. So from my perspective, I mainly focus on marketing for tickets, memberships, and groups, and I am the main point of contact between that group. It's pretty high level. There it is.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. So we'll kick it over to Patrick. And just a fun fact about Patrick right now, he's actually in the airport on his way to Vegas. So some true dedication for joining the FEVO webinar. So I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody for being here today. I'm Patrick Nowlin, Senior Associate Athletic Director with Notre Dame. I've been here for less than a year. My job at Notre Dame is to oversee our business innovation department, which is we're always looking for new and emerging commerce, also ways to make our business more efficient. And then also revenue generation, which oversees our marketing department, as well as our ticketing, sales, and operations. Prior to that, I spent the last 8 years at Oklahoma. Started as a assistant athletic director of ticketing, and then moved my way up to be a senior associate of fan engagement there before I came to Notre Dame. Prior to that, I spent time in the NHL with the Nashville Predators, and also on the third party side with Learfield. So I've got a pretty diverse background. I've worked in pretty much all phases and verticals of.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Stephanie?
Cool. Nice to meet everyone who's here. Yeah, thanks for joining. I'm Steph. I work over at Laylow, leading partnerships. So we're a technology and CRM platform for messaging. Excited to share about it. I work very closely with the whole FEVO team, who I love, and then as well as with teams, as well as athletes. We'll tell you more. My background is in the technology space on social, search, and media. So I have an 18-year career working at Google, Facebook, Reddit, BuzzFeed, and some startups as well. So I will pass it back to you, Alissa.
Thanks, Stephanie. And last but not least, we have the other FEVO employee, Matt, if you want to give some of your quick background as well.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for hosting, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm Matt Barall, Senior Manager of Marketing Services at FEVO, where I handle a lot of our digital marketing efforts with our partners. Also have some agency side experience before coming to FEVO. And as you can tell from my sweet headshot, spent a couple of years with the Yankees as well.
Just like half all the FEVO employees, I feel like almost spent some time with the Yankees. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us again. It's great to have such a wealth of knowledge on the panel and a lot of diverse backgrounds, a lot of people in season versus out of season. So super excited to get into all the topics today. Before we jump into the panelists kind of topics, just wanted to kind of lay some groundwork and give some quick facts on just some different trends that we've seen on the Black Friday, Cyber Monday holiday sales. So first and foremost, I'm sure people have already seen this in their email inboxes, but Black Friday deals and shoppers are starting earlier than ever this year. It was funny, Nicole on our marketing team and I were just meeting this morning and joking how both Target and Amazon both already have rolled out some holiday deals. So it's starting earlier than ever, especially with the landscape of COVID finally changing in a positive direction. Just kind of getting ahead of the curve this year is more important than ever. Additionally, we have seen a 26% year-over-year growth for purchases through additional payment methods like Apple Pay and Google Pay. And that obviously lends super well to the FEVO platform. As I'm sure most of you know, we've actually implemented Google Pay and Apple Pay in our new FEVO OS technology. So again, we can transact with those payment methods, just again, keeping the conversion rates as high as possible and making the end-to-end user experience as seamless as possible as well. We've also seen a worldwide sales increase, 23% from 2021. Again, I think that just lends well, again, like I was saying in the first point, post-COVID world, there's less hesitancy about going to live events. So we've seen a lot of shift in that way as well. And then last but not least, 69% of consumers purchase their Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals through a mobile device. So I know I personally don't go anywhere without my cell phone. I'm sure everyone on this panel can agree with that. So again, we're just seeing higher rates of people shopping and searching on their phones. But on the flip side of that, something that I found interesting that again, I was talking with Nicole this morning about was we're actually seeing higher conversion rates on desktop. So kind of lends to maybe people are like perusing and shopping on their phones, but then going on desktop to purchase. So again, being able to hit fans in both segments is huge and something that we'll kind of get into a little bit later on the presentation as well. Perfect. But now that the scene has been set, I'm going to pass it off to our first panelist to review kind of his Black Friday experience and some deals that he has seen and trends that he has seen. So Patrick, please take it away.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. The first thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday to me is that you've got to have a plan, right? I think a lot of times what happens is on the team side, we'll look at what is our biggest need. And sometimes our biggest need is a need because it's not what the fan is going to perceive as value. And what I mean by that is a lot of us in college are playing teams around the holidays that are probably local, probably don't have a big name. And so what happens is you're having a less desirable game and you're going to be missing some of your fan base with students being out. You're going to be missing some of your fan base with them traveling for the holidays. So by just looking at strategy and saying, okay, I need to sell the immediate need, which is going to be the game that we have around Christmas or around Thanksgiving, which may not be, or which may be a lesser opponent. What you're doing when you make that type of strategy is you're basically kneecapping yourself at what you can do as far as revenue and what you can do as far as filling the seats. So one of the first things when you make a strategy is you got to look at why are we doing this, right? And the why needs to be to the customer. Like what are they going to perceive as value? And that can be a promotional aspect. That can also be a value driven as far as discounts are concerned. I think a lot of us, as we look at our strategies, we're looking at it, well, okay, we got to cut 50% off the ticket price and sell it. That's not the case for everything. So I think as you're building your strategy, there has to be a menu of items, and you've got to be able to classify what they are and think about each individual item and how they fit into the picture and the marketing position that you're going to make for this offer during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And so what I mean by that is some of these games where we're talking about the perceived value, the promotional aspect can be something like a student for a day. It can be something as far as access to the team post-game or pre-game talk with the coach. What people want are access, and they want recognition. Both of those things usually don't cost very much for us as a team to be able to add. So if we're going through and providing a discounted ticket, and then the additional added value for the promotion is you get access to be closer to the team, or you get recognition on the board for thank you for purchasing. Those things don't cost anything, and they're a great way to add value back to the customer. And you'll see an increase in sales by doing things like this. The other way of looking at it is value driven. We're going to get in and look at some stats of what we did at Notre Dame last year and the success we had through making just a few tweaks through the process. But when you're playing some games, like we played North Carolina coming here in basketball and last year at Notre Dame, there's no need to cut that ticket 50%, right? But being where we are located in South Bend in the winter, weather is one factor. Also, we don't have a huge built-in fan base that's local. A lot of people are driving from Indianapolis, from Chicago. So they're coming from a couple hundred miles away in order to come. So people who want to come are going to make that trip. So instead of cutting that ticket 50%, we do want to add a little value. I can't tell you how many times my wife comes home from Target and goes, "Hey, I bought this because it was so much off." And, I kind of use that same strategy. Well, if she's going to go buy this and it's 5% off, then let's use that same strategy in our sale, or in the way that we position things in the market. So we positioned last year, North Carolina as a 5% discount. The fans saw discount, and we saw an increase in sales because they saw that discount listed there. It was a very small percentage, but it boosted sales where we more than made up for what we needed to fill that arena in a quicker basis. So that's one way we did it. Another is we did cut some of our games in to 50%, but they were the less desirable games, and even those didn't move near as well as the higher value games. We also looked at, let's not just focus on basketball. What else is going on? So we opened it up. Hockey's a big seller for us at Notre Dame, and Michigan is a huge game. Like, that's the one that people want to come watch. So we opened that game up for sale, no discount, just for sale through this process. And we saw that our hockey actually sold $26,000 in tickets through this sale. Now, what that means, the year before we had sold almost 21,000, I think, in total revenue. So just putting that high desirable game was more than we did in revenue the entire year previously. I think it's also, as you're planning this, you've got to look at that from an end user's perspective. Another thing that we're going to do this year that's different than what we've done in the past is we're going to focus on future selling. And what I mean by that is the way fans look at things, especially in college football, is they look at what was the team's success the previous year. Because most of our sales are happening after the season ends and then before the next season kicks off. So why not utilize this time frame to ramp up and find an opponent who may be an issue for you, but is having a good season or playing ahead or a little more than what they traditionally do. An example of this, and I apologize, I'm not shooting anybody here at Wake Forest down, but an example of that is Wake Forest for us. Historically, we have not been able to move Wake Forest because it's usually a later in the season game. Mentioned weather again, and it's usually not a desirable game because of the success, because Wake Forest is kind of inconsistent sometimes in their success. So this year they're having a great year, right? They got a great quarterback. Everything is riding high. So you're going to hear about them all throughout November, December into the bowl season. We're looking at that as an opportunity for us to springboard football opportunities. We've never sold the next season football in a Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We're going to do that this year. And so next year, when we have this conversation, I'd love to be able to go back and show you, hey, we doubled our sales because we did this. And Wake Forest is going to be an example of how we're going to do this. We're going to position that as one of our hook games that we're going to offer through our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. And like I said, riding the team success that they're having this year to help boost sales for next year, because we know traditionally that right there has been an issue for us. So if you can take advantage of not only the promotional aspect and the value driven, but the opponent and what they're doing and the way you position that in the market, you can really capitalize and make make a big dent in next year's sales and also be able to really push your bottom line. You can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. So marketing strategy. We talked about you have to have a plan, right? Well, what does the plan look like for us at Notre Dame? I work with a lot of great people there, and I'm very fortunate. Barbara Sullivan, who runs our marketing department, John Breeden runs our ticket operations, Kyan Sheehy, who runs our ticket sales. We are all together working. We work with our social team as well, and we come up with a plan of what is it that we want to do. And then from there, we start to work backwards. This is where we want to go. What do we need to do to prep for it? We want to give ourselves plenty of room to plan. I think if you're not planning for Black Friday, Cyber Monday now, you need to start. It's not too late, but you really need to be thinking about this 1st of October. It's my opinion. Some people may want to go earlier, but I think 1st of October is when you really need to start gearing up and making sure you have everything in order. So the timeline's the biggest aspect of this. I challenged our marketing team, our operations and sales team to say, okay, from the deadline, what do you have to accomplish in order for us to get this off the ground? And so they'll work backwards off that as well, saying, okay, I need a month time to build this, to get the graphics, to get our plan in place, to grow. So as we start working through this, we're looking at it as this is the date. What all are the checkpoints along the way? So we're not rushing and trying to throw something against the wall. A lot of times this becomes an afterthought, but the amount of effort and planning and time you put into this is going to be what you get out of it. So if you don't plan and you don't try and you just throw a bunch of stuff in there, nothing's going to happen for you. But if you plan and you're strategic and you really think about it, you're going to see a much, much bigger bang at the end of the day. Then you've also got to look at what your target audience is. We look at it as an active database. Now, what is an active database or active database? To others, it may mean certain things. To us at Notre Dame, it means who has purchased a single game ticket in the last 2 years, who has engaged on our website in the last 6 months, who's engaged with us socially during that time frame as well. That's our active database. So we're not just spraying and praying. We're using a targeted approach, and we'll go right after them. And then after we do the targeted approach, we break it back out, right? So now we want to target the hockey crowd with a hockey offer. We're going to target the football crowd with a football offer. So we'll give you the blanket offer at first. And then as we start to have our cadence of emails and communications, they're targeted towards the audience and the sport that they have attended or have raised their hand and said, I'm interested in. And as it goes to marketing channels, we need to use them all. Social, website, email. We're seeing about 60 to 65% of our sales come from email. So you mentioned the mobile aspect earlier. If your email is not mobile friendly and it's too wordy, you're going to lose people. I look at it as you've got about 3 lines, right? When the email comes through, if you don't catch me on the first 3 lines, odds are I'm moving past you. So making sure that you're utilizing that and that your message is succinct and that you're adding value right off the bat. Like, what is the eye-catching? 50% off, eye-catching, right? North Carolina, eye-catching for basketball. You can use both of those in the first 3 sentences. It doesn't mean 50% off of North Carolina, but you're getting them to read and say, oh, what is this? And then as they engage, it allows you to target differently. We set up drip campaigns. We have so much automation set up throughout this process for us to be able to capitalize. So if you click on the email, you're going to get a certain cadence. If you don't engage, you're going to get a different email. And we work on this strategy back and forth to make sure that we have it fine-tuned. So when this happens, we're ready to go. The other aspect that I'm sure we're going to hear more about is texting. I can tell you right now, I've got probably 25 voicemails I have not listened to. So if anyone on this webinar has called me, I apologize. If you want to get to me,
I think I might be one of those. So
probably is. It probably is. But the way to get somebody's text nowadays, right? I have 0 unread text messages. It's the easiest way to communicate. People can do it on their watch. They can do it all over the place. So utilizing text messaging is another way to elevate this process. And as you're thinking about your marketing channels, if you're not thinking about text as a marketing channel, you are completely missing out. That'll get you a much better engagement rate. It'll get you a much more personable response, as we'll hear a lot more about this later. And as we talk about our results, if you want to switch over, this is showing you that these are the results of where we were. So this process works, right? And what we've done in the past is we have not ever had football added to this. So now that we are having football being added to this, we're going to see the 74,000 number jump up to 100, 110,000, 125,000 next year. So this is showing you kind of the results of what we've done over the course of time. And I'll be willing with anybody that would like to feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to discuss.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Patrick. Oh, I think we might have lost them there. And I forgot to mention up top as well, if you guys do have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to throw them into the Q&A section. I think there should be a button for all of you guys. I'm more than happy to ask them as webinar goes or at the end, but we would love for this to be as interactive as possible. But awesome. So I will kick it over to you, Katie, to give us some more insights on the marketing end of Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for going through all of that, Patrick. I might sound like a broken record with some of the stuff that I'll talk about in terms of planning, but that is a huge part of what we do here too at the Minnesota Wild. So some of the things I'll just be talking about, like meeting cross-functionally. You could probably just go to the next slide. But we do for our Black Friday is typically a no fees. So we take and remove all the fees, and we've been doing this since 2010. And from every year we've grown slightly in our planning. We've grown in the timeline that we executed. We are adding new paid and owned media to it. So whenever you're tracking what you've done last year or the year before, it's always what were your pain points, what were your problems, and what are the solutions for this year? What can you add to it? Which is really great. So what we really enjoy moving over to FEVO with our no fees promotion since I think 2019 is that FEVO is just an easier way to purchase. We can make huge utilization of the ref codes, and then we can also push the shareable links as well through our owned media, which is we've seen incremental revenue through using those tactics and creating more of a robust plan for that. So the biggest thing that I think everyone here will already know is that meeting cross-functionally is the best way to go. So having a kickoff meeting, making sure that all your stakeholders are involved. That includes everyone from PR to ticket ops to ticket sales to social to production and your video team, and what are all of the assets that you're going to be able to utilize with that. Also really just figuring out what your ticket revenue goals and your game goals are. So from our perspective, we usually launch our no fees in season, and it's about halfway through our season. So we're typically targeting everything past our Thanksgiving game. Our Thanksgiving game is typically one of our biggest revenue generating games anyways. So after that, what are we doing to help sell December through April? So no one's thinking that far in advance when you're planning for your family, you're planning for what you're doing. And we are in the state of hockey. So there are tons of families and tons of people that play hockey. You would think that it's easy to get there, but families that play hockey can't come to games all the time because of the timing, right? You are going to your own games. So how do you really plan for outside of the season, for families, for other people that are in our communities? So one thing that meeting like cross-functionally, you want to make sure that you set your timelines as well. And what I really love about what Patrick said is that you set your goal of your launch and you work backwards, right? So if you're not planning or if you're not executing yet, you're late to the game. There is always time to do it. Don't beat yourself up for not starting your campaign if you haven't started it yet. That is a very important thing to do. It should be a very low stress planning process anyways. So when you're vetting everything that you do from a marketing perspective, I resonated with something that Patrick said in terms of our email assets. Our email assets we've always leaned on for our biggest revenue generating for any of our ticket offers, aside from our, hand-to-hand combat group reps and things like that. So make sure that you're like talking to your marketing teams about every single corner and opportunity that you have to take over, not just your email, but what we found, and we'll get to some of the numbers later on, but what we found is really taking over everything from a single game ticket standpoint. But if you have a group sales page, if you have a theme pack page, if you have an app, if you have anything that's owned, taking over space in all of those avenues is also extremely important, because if people are looking for groups, they are also looking to come to a game. And how do you capitalize on that opportunity to make sure that people are seeing your offers, right? You can go to the next screen. Perfect. So after you have your kickoff meetings and your timelines and everything like that, make sure that you are keeping everyone to that timeline, right? So if you are the owner of your Black Friday, whether you're a ticket ops or whether you're marketing, make sure everyone's hitting their timelines and what we're doing. So here on this side over here, I just gave a couple examples. We do a handful of one-off emails. There's about, when you talk about the launch on Black Friday, how do you capitalize on Cyber Monday? Our Black Friday no fees campaign is actually a 9 to 10 day campaign. So we run it a full week afterwards to capitalize on some of the games that we have during that time, and people moving into their holiday shopping. So not just their Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but how do you mold that and move that into people's holiday shopping that happened in December? I know I'm a last minute buyer. Like, I don't really do my holiday shopping until the weekend before, which is never great, but I'm also just worried about other things at that point. So when I say about utilize every asset, you're utilizing your navigation, you're utilizing your paid, your owned, and your barter. I don't know if a lot of teams do barter, if you even know that your team does barter, if you're not on the marketing team, but that's always something that you can talk to your marketing team. We have a lot of great relationships with local radio stations where, we get paid, we give them tickets as a part of our promotion, let's say 10 to 20 tickets, and they give us additional radio chatter over that time period, which is really great. It's a win-win for both of us. So you don't have a huge budget, which you don't need a really big budget to put a successful campaign together. You just need a good strategy in how you're using your owned media and your internal teams, right? So like your people and your boots on the ground are also going to be a big part of this. So from your ticket sales team to just your employees in general, how do you create a fun and exciting atmosphere with your employees? Give them a ref code with FEVO and say, hey, whoever sells the most tickets through this no fees promotion, word of mouth, or anything like that, you get like an extra, night out on us, or we'll get you a party bus, or whatever your benefits are. I know internally we have some really great campaigns and competitions that we run. Healthy competition is always good. So the other thing, you can always do so much planning. And that's always fun, and sticking to that plan feels really good, but you also have to plan for flexibility. And that's the level of kind of like improv that I'm really into, is then when you're looking at your flexibility, we started off last year with a no fees. This is what we're doing. Look, come to these games. Here are some games that are of great value that you might want to check out, that we really need to sell. But are also a good value for our fan base. And then when you're looking at trends of when people are purchasing, big wins, which is really great during the season. So like after your team wins, what are you doing to pivot? And you can see kind of an email there that I have as an example, like after a big win, make sure you're capitalizing that, even if it's not a part of your original plan. Right? Or if you were scheduled to send it out 2 days like 2 days from now, make sure you're sending it and moving that, and that you're on the same page with your email marketing team to say you have the flexibility and the creativity to hit our goals, which is, the main point that everyone's trying to get to, but also giving them a little bit of ownership of taking that and pivoting when you need to, which is also super successful as well. So you can get fun with it, right? It doesn't always have to be the same message, as long as it has the same call to action and everyone understands that it's part of the no fees campaign. Adding creative, catchy, funny subject lines, adding gifts to your emails, that is one thing that we've been doing a lot more of, and pivoting when it's necessary. So, when we're talking about some of our paid media too, like look at, getting into social buying, get into OTT streaming. If you're in a market where you're in season, make sure you're capitalizing on your radio and TV drops and spots and commercials. There are all kinds of things that you can do. Just make sure that you're vetting everything and you say, how are all of our fans buying, and how are we making sure that that message is switched in those spaces? You can go to the next menu. All right. So when the day comes and you're running it, don't panic. Okay. One of the things that you want to make sure that in your planning that you're doing to be successful for when you're coming back to your no fees campaign is that you have a day-by-day reporting, whether that's you have an internal revenue, you have an internal analytics team that can build a report for you that you're seeing day by day. If you have a ticket ops guy that can just pull some very basic numbers on goals that you can get to, that can also allow you to plan for flexibility and making sure that, hey, our launch was super successful, our last 2 emails weren't successful, or we don't have the volume that we're looking at right now. You can pivot and make sure that you're adding more or that you're changing what you're doing on the fly. So pivoting in your own media is going to be your biggest point. Obviously, if you're buying some of your advertising online with some of your other partners, it's going to be harder to pivot because you've already bought those spots. Chances are they've already had their spots booked for a very long time, which is also really important why you should be planning your no fees in advance. We had been talking to our paid media partners, our print, our online, our everything since July about no fees being our big time. We set that timeline and we said, this is when we're going to have it. Let's book everything that we can possible. So that is also super important as well. So yeah, you can go to the next slide. And so one thing with making sure that we're knocking down every door in our owned media, from 2019 to 2021 of last year, we saw 358% growth, which is nuts. Okay. That is not a made up number. We went from like $150,000 to $200,000 in sales to $850,000 in sales. So it was worth the effort. If you look at all of the work that needs to go between your website and your app, changing out links, putting featured content pieces in, building emails on the fly, it does pay off, right? And then, Patrick had talked about text messaging. Make sure your text messaging is a big part of your automation email campaign too. That is super, super helpful. And then really talking to your social team, again, the creativity in saying, hey, you see that goal? I know that people on social don't like you posting ticket links, but how do you get them to get excited about coming to games? What is that push? And then what is that in the functionality of someone's journey, seeing that highlight goal in the morning on Twitter to getting an email the next hour to making that purchase decision at noon when they're hungry and they need to do something different in their day, right? So that is super, super exciting. And then when we look at our dollars spent, right? Like I said, you don't have to have a huge budget to run this. A ton of our expense, our 20K budget that we put in there, or 27K budget, 19 of that was barter, so trade that we had. So we only put $8,000 in cash spend towards this, and it created at least $29 per every dollar that we spent, which is crazy. Those are great numbers. So we are looking at and saying that's not good enough. What can we do this year? We are putting in more, OTT and streaming. That's something that we're doing more of, and we're doing in more search in like Google search efforts. So those two things I think are going to be huge in hoping to make over, when we set our goals, make over $1,000 or $1 million this year for our no fees campaign. And then you can move on to the next one. And then don't be afraid to extend these offers, right? So like we are already building in a Monday extension for after our 10-day thing, which is, planning or whatever. Looks random. Everyone knows what you're doing anyways, but what we're doing also is we're extending into December. So some of our December games need a little bit help. We executed a December weekend no fees where we saw some of our games lagging after our other no fees campaign. We said we really need to get this back in. So we were on a roll. We were capitalizing on our wins. So this email that we have right here, we need your energy back in the building, right? So we really were capitalizing on our homestand that we had coming up. We were capitalizing on the tickets that we still needed to sell. And we had a huge click-through rate on that email, which was great. We did more emails than one, but this was our most successful one. And then we extended it even further into April Fools, and we did a no fool and no fees campaign, which was really fun. And that ran for about 5 days, maybe more than 5 days. I can't remember the timeline on that, but we saw another incremental $320,000 out of that, which was really great. I think our original seat goal was to sell 2,000. And so we kept moving the goal. It was a really fun Teams chat, how everyone was going. And my analytics guy didn't think we would go over 3,000. And I said we would. And then he got to say, Katie was right. And I felt really good about that. So,
I hope you got like a dinner out of that too or something.
Yeah, right. I just took the satisfaction and
Yeah.
said, "Look, my husband is still trying to learn these tactics as well." It's right. So that's pretty much everything that I have from this, but we're super excited for our no fees campaign this year, and we're just yeah, that's really all I have. I'm excited to hear any questions that anyone has based off of.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. That was really good info. We did have one question come in. What would you say is like your number one mistake that marketers make for these campaigns, or something that like you've learned since past campaigns that you're going to implement in an upcoming campaign to kind of improve and make strides there?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we had found in the past with a mistake, if you will, or just not thought through is some of the things that I've already talked about, like replacing navigation in your website. We were getting a lot of complaints that people were still purchasing tickets by other means, and saying, well, I didn't get the no fees offer. Like, I want a refund. It's like, well, you either purchased it through a third party, you purchased it through some other thing. So making sure that we have in the bottom of our emails, on our FEVO page, on everything, we have like legit rules of how you can actually like take advantage of this, but making sure that you're replacing all those links. You might not be able to with some of the partners that other companies are working with, but even if you have that, share that space and say, hey, these are all our single game tickets, but if you go through this one, this is how you're going to get your no fees. So really making sure that that message is absolutely everywhere.
No, that's great feedback. Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. And then we're going to pass it over to Matt next to go over some additional marketing things that people can help you guys out with.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Patrick and Katie. That was super insightful. But yeah, jumping into it kind of from the FEVO side, I guess I'll just kick things off by saying, we're here to help. So definitely reach out to your FEVO reps. We're happy to consult on go-to-market strategy, pixels, tracking, data, any of that stuff. So definitely reach out. We're here to help. But jumping into some tactics and some stuff you should be looking forward to in the next couple months as we ramp up for the holidays. I think number one is timing, and Katie and Patrick both kind of talked about this, but really the sooner the better. The more time you give yourself to set up creative and tracking and build audiences, the better off you're going to be, and also the more learnings you're going to get, especially on paid platforms. So like any social media, really the more dollars you can put behind it and the earlier you can start, the better off you're going to be, and the better conversion rates you're going to get. So definitely start early and often. Number two, pixels. So crucial to any paid campaign. Like I said before, yeah, all the learnings you're going to get, that's all coming from pixels. So if you really want to make your campaigns effective and get those super high return on ad spend, like Katie's team saw, you got to track your offers. So reach out to us. We're always happy to troubleshoot and to place your pixels, but so big for any paid campaign. Definitely make sure we're doing that. Number 3, retargeting. So kind of jumping off the pixels, once you get a lot of your learnings and you get that data back, make sure you use it. Pixels are great, but if you're then not using your data, it's kind of going to waste. So take that data, find your key audiences and make sure you're retargeting, and don't be afraid to go cross platform with it. If you get some really good data on social and who your audience is there and what's working, take that and apply it to your email database, to your text database, to any of the other campaigns that you're running on any media, because it really all works cross-functionally. So don't kind of keep everything in a silo. Make sure you're taking a holistic view at your entire marketing campaigns. And then the 4th thing is Google Analytics. It's one of our most robust integrations. We've got a really good purchase funnel built into it. So if you have a Google Analytics account and you don't have it linked to your FEVO offers, definitely reach out to us and we're happy to set that up. You'll get really, advanced analytics relative to what you'll see in the traditional FEVO analytics like portal, or what you'll see just in standard Google Analytics as well. So take a look at those funnels and you'll get some really good learnings and insights there as well. Cool. And then just some general best practices, not so much on the tactical level, but a little bit higher level. Make sure you're launching your campaigns, not just planning, but launching campaigns well in advance of the holidays. And Katie kind of touched on this too, but, extending the holidays. Don't hold yourself to, what society has deemed to be Black Friday or Cyber Monday. I mean, these are made up holidays. So, take that and use that to your advantage. There's plenty of money to be spent. Not everyone's spending it on the same day. So don't just put all your spend on 1 or 2 days, spread it out across a couple weeks. And then the second thing is, we're going through some interesting macroeconomic times right now. Super high inflation, a lot of stuff going on. So really make your deal something that people can't turn down. Folks are spending money on a lot more money than they have been on rent and food and all this good stuff. So when they're going out to do something that's considered a luxury, make sure they're not spending money that would otherwise go towards those things, and just like give them something that's really going to be a steal that they're going to want to buy on that day. That's not something that they can get on any other day. And then kind of along those same lines, but like really curate your offers. So price point's one piece of it, but also make sure you're designing the offer so it's user friendly. I think a lot of times people want to put out the entire stadium and every price point and every seat that they have, and honestly that can be really confusing for a consumer. So I think like one term that I like is analysis paralysis. You get on an offer page or you're buying clothes or whatever the case might be, and there's so many options, you end up getting confused or just frustrated with the process and you don't buy anything. So I think my best advice really on any offer, but particularly a discounted offer, give your fans just a couple options. They're educated enough to make a decision, but when you give them too many options, it just confuses them. So keep things simple, and yeah, just give them a couple really good options to choose from. And then the last thing is creative. I think oftentimes goes overlooked, but it's really the big thing that draws people to your offer, on social, on search, email. That's what your eyes are drawn to, and no one's even going to click on your links if they don't like the creative that they see. So really spend the time to do really, really strong creative and work with your internal team. Another thing FEVO can assist with, if you don't have such a strong internal team, we're happy to help out with creative as well. But it's a super important piece of any campaign. And I think also like something really important in the creative aspect is being relevant. So Katie kind of touched on this as well, but as news comes out, or if your team's doing really well, take that opportunity develop new creative. So it's not just kind of those same stale images. So short form video, really compelling images, super critical to any campaign.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. And just a quick introduction. I love what you said about like the relevancy of the offer as well. Because one thing, like I know when I was on the A's side and I kind of was helping out with the Cyber Monday, Black Friday deals, like a lot of the times you think since you're off season, it's not going to be as relevant for you. But Ashley Connor, I think, said it in one of our last Cyber Monday panels. Like it's kind of like the kickoff for the next season. And again, like people are budgeting to spend money around the holidays. So even if you're not in season, it's still a great time to put out an offer and get people excited for the upcoming season as well. So thank you so much, Matt. So I'm going to kick it over to Stephanie now to go over Laylo.
Cool. Hey guys. So really interesting stuff. And you've heard mention of SMS so far. So excited to bridge that all together from Persichetti and what Alissa even just shared. So at Laylow, let's talk about what it is and then how we can help you actually get started today for Black Friday and really then make some things automated for you. What we do high level, we power drops for teams and athletes, working closely on FEVO offers, and we'll share some of the success we've seen there. If you click to the next slide. So as you all know, Black Friday is extremely competitive, noisy, and expensive in your marketing. And so let's go to the next slide and talk about what Laylo does to break through that. So we are an integrated messaging and CRM platform that enables you to automatically message your fans across SMS, email, Facebook Messenger, Discord, and Instagram DM. Go to the next slide. Our customers see a 7x increase to their sales, 2 times the opt-in rate on SMS, and a 60% average click-through rate on links, which includes FEVO offers. In fact, we've seen with some of our team partners averages of 90% across all SMS FEVO offer click-through rates. And as you guys know, this beats out the competitive pool of messaging tools drastically. So that's a little bit about us. So imagine if today you could set up a Black Friday strategy that you could then forget about, and we could drop some offers automatically for you on Black Friday day. So let's go to the next slide. I'll show you how to do that. So we've actually timed this. Within 60 seconds, you can create a page that you can then share out with all your fans. You could literally do this today. What you do is you create the page and then you share this out wherever your fans are. So think about your existing email database, an in-app push notification, hyperlink it on your socials, and then that's it. You step back. Your fans will sign up. They will choose how they want to hear from you, or you can funnel them to SMS, and we take care of the rest. So on Black Friday, we will drop them all your FEVO offer, and they can click through, engage with it, and go from there. And you have tracking, and all these fans are added into your CRM. So if you take a look at the next slide, you can actually scan this. We'll sit on it for just a second. If you want to hold your phone up and scan this, you do get a custom QR code, by the way, with your drop, but scan this if you want to actually just sign up for a drop yourself right now. It can take you through the process of actually entering your number. Like, what is the fan experience when you see a drop page? You will get a contact card. So you'll see how it would work for your team, where your team would have a contact card that people then add right into their phone so they feel like they're hearing from you personally. You'll get an automated RSVP message right now as well. So imagine as you're going through that, then you would get an automated drop message right on Black Friday, taking you to your FEVO offer, and they click through from there. You'll see also you could actually proactively text the number, and you would have that option. People can text a number any word. So you could actually put this as a live activation, like during a game or match right now, and tie it to a Black Friday activation. Go to the next slide. Cool. So part of these drops, this will autoplay and auto loop. We have an industry first feature. We are the one and only worldwide right now. Integrated into your SMS platform that you have with Laylo is actually the ability to use automated Instagram DMs. We're looking at right now the fan process. We'll watch this and then I'll take you through how it works. That would be as if your team is then automated. So let's go to the next, I'll explain it. So here would be your Instagram handle. You're not sharing a Laylo link or doing an SMS. You're literally doing one thing. You would post a story, a native story asset to your team handle. You could also leverage a player's influencer handle if you wanted. Happy to chat about that literally any day, anytime this week for future strategy. But for Black Friday, you could pivot very quickly. Post a story and you ask your fans to reply a keyword and then you're done. Laylo takes care of the rest. All those messages you just got on your test drop, if you scan the QR code, they go through as Instagram DMs. You can imagine your fans are so excited. If they're following your IG, they like you and they're excited and they're engaging. If they think they have the opportunity to DM you a keyword and then like hear from you on some sort of special crazy 20% off ticket, custom jersey, whatever it is that your Black Friday offer is, you better believe that they're going to be excited to see it. Our average conversion rate of people, like after they opt in, they will land on your drop day message. So if your drop day is on Black Friday, they will land on at a rate of 75 to 85%. And I would almost guarantee that. It's a very powerful tool that you can layer into your drop. Next slide. So then after you've heard a lot of folks talk about how do you then seamlessly move forward. So you don't, once you've set up a drop, to use for Black Friday, which is very effective because it creates that buzz and hype for you. You don't have to have a marketing whole team on Laylo. You can just create that page, share it out, and it's buzzy and hype. They get dropped their Black Friday offer, and then you can message those people without creating a drop anytime. They go into your Laylo CRM database, their phone number, contact, their IG handle, everything. You can also create your team profile. So we've been doing this pretty consistently. This is a new link that you can also have embedded on your website, kind of your always on strategy, and people then get added to your ongoing list. You can do this anytime. Next slide. Kind of closer here, just wanted to let you know that as part of your Laylo strategy, we do three very key things. One is segmented lists. So you actually can segment out your premier ticket holder, VIP, college students, you name it, you can create a list with its own unique like link and reachability and targeting. We can do that in a few different ways. Also contact uploading. So this is very unique in the space. We will take on, we will look at the legal terms for you. We will assess that. And you can actually share with us either SMS or email list that you can upload into the same messaging CRM to reach them anytime. So you can talk to me anytime about that. And I think the last thing was the custom QR code you get. So yeah, that's about Laylo. Yeah, go for it, Alissa. And you can check it out anytime right there at the website or scan that link. It should send you the website.
Awesome. Thank you. I got my drop, so it looks good.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Yeah, we won't send you a future Black Friday offer, but you never know. Maybe we'll send you some free merch. Actually, maybe we'll do that.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. And again, if you guys have any more questions for Stephanie, we can share on her email address as well. And all the information is on that hyperlink as well. But perfect. I know we've gone kind of long, so I don't think we'll be able to get to all the questions here, but at least want to get to one question here. So I think this would be probably for like Katie or Patrick. When you say launch a campaign 1 to 2 weeks ahead, does that mean the offer is live at that time to purchase? Or do you mean that you're teasing it with a coming soon type of messaging before making it live on the actual day?
I can start. I mean, I think to Matt's, point in terms of it can be any time, right? Like the live point of it from our standpoint, we always go live just on Friday. We do all of our paid and advertising drops at least a week before. We want to make sure that people understand it and know it and that it's coming, but we also don't want to cannibalize any other ticket sales that are happening before then. And also when you're asking someone to pay attention to a message, you want to make it actionable almost immediately, right? So giving it a little, you got to find this like balance almost of how much promotion are you giving beforehand, what is actionable, and because you don't want to frustrate someone, right? You don't want to say like, hey, here's an email, but you can't click on it. but you will be able to 5 days from now. So you just have to, kind of have to strategize that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
I mean, I definitely agree with that statement. I also think that there's a way that you can add value to season ticket holders. I like to look at the whole picture and say, how does this add into the whole sales process? Season ticket holders are harder and harder to find as we keep going. So one way that we do is the same way the strategy is the tease, but then we like to give our season ticket holders maybe to say, hey, you get to buy a day before the general public. And that's just a way to add value back to the season ticket holders. Because I mean, like I said, it's getting harder and harder. So anything you can do to add value, always try to do that as well.
That's great feedback, Patrick. I know that we used to try to do that at the A's a lot too, just so people love to feel special and love to feel like they're getting an offer before people. I know a lot of teams do the whole like, oh, you're getting a pre-sale when it's just going out to the general public. So great info to add as well. I don't know if Matt, if you had anything to add on that point as well.
No, I mean, yeah, Katie touched on it nicely, but I think not just for Black Friday, but in general, there's a lot of salespeople here. We all love ROAS and, making money, but don't be afraid to run awareness campaigns as well. It's kind of a full funnel process. So, we love conversions, but conversions come with awareness. So use all the tools at your disposal.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. I know we're coming up against time here, so I don't want to jump into another question if we only have like 30 seconds. So I appreciate everyone jumping on here. It was really great info to have. Huge shout out to all of our great panelists, especially Patrick doing this in the airport. I hope you can now go enjoy a beer in Vegas for all of us. But again, thank you all so much for being here. And then if you guys have any additional questions, you can always reach out to your FEVO success rep or email bd@fevo.com and be happy to strategize with you, share best practices, share examples. But thank you again all for joining, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their Wednesday.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.